Sweet in the morning, oh Lord, it's sweet in the morning. Sweet in the morning, sweet.
This is an interview with Mr. Johnnie L. Smith for the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute's Oral History Project. I'm Dr. Horace Huntley. We're at Miles College. It is May 4th, 1995. Mr. Smith, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come out and sit and talk with us today. Welcome.
Happy to do that.
Thank you. I just want to start by asking some sort of general questions about you and your family and your upbringing. Are you from Birmingham?
I'm from Birmingham now, yes.
Yes, sir. But where were you born?
Born in Butler County.
Butler County. And how long did you live in Butler County?
Well, I was born and raised there.
Okay.
And
You came to Birmingham about 1919,
I
and then you
came
went
in
back to
right, I
Butler.
came into Birmingham around 1919, 20, something.
You were born what year?
I was born 1900.
So that makes
July the 5th, 1900.
that makes you 95 years old?
Right.
I need to know the secret. After we get off, I want you to tell me the secret.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a good one.
This is a good one. huh?
It's a good one, yes. It's a good one.
Okay. Can you tell me a little about, did you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have, it was 4 boys and 3 girls.
Where were you? Were you the oldest?
I'm the youngest.
You were the youngest.
I'm the youngest.
Okay. Tell me a little about your parents.
Well, my mother and father, they, I don't know anything about they marrying or they fellowshipping, anything that, but I know they was good vouchers. He and my mother was good vouchers for their family. We never worked under the sound of a white person's voice in our lives.
So your family owned their property?
Well, my daddy, after him and my mother married, he bought him a place for 25 cents an acre. Bought him 117 acres for 25 cents an acre. Well, back in those days, I learned that those white people didn't allow colored people to buy land. I don't know whether you ever heard that or not.
I've heard it. Yes,
Well,
I have.
you know what's true or not.
Right. But he did. He was able to buy land.
My daddy was the type of man, he believed in the Lord, and the Lord would take all fear away from him. And that's what he did. And he just pushed those kind of things aside and went ahead on and did what all he wanted to know was it right.
So was he a farmer?
Farmer.
Uh-huh.
Yes, he was.
And what did he farm?
He raised cotton, corn, peanuts, sweet potatoes, sugar cane, made syrup, killed around all the way from, he would never kill under 8 hogs. He killed around 8 hogs or maybe 9. It depended on how well his family was accumulating, And so he was a great hand on looking down through the scopes of time and trying to put another piece of bread there for another mouth.
Did he have people outside of the family working for him?
No, that's his family.
Just the family.
Well, he had one man that people in them days was they didn't have no home, nowhere to stay. And as they could slip away, so I'm learning, I did learn, as they could slip away from over there, way over yonder somewhere, and go in and kind of hide out.
So you had a person like that that lived on your father's farm?
Yeah. Well, he came over there, a fella came over there, and he stayed with my father long enough for me to grow up and get acquainted with him.
Did he have a family?
No, he didn't have a family, but he was quite of a young man when he came, and so sooner or later he did. When he left my father, he married, and he had a very nice family, and he went away, and I just had got kind of acquainted with him, and he went away. And
did he buy himself property when he left your father?
Well, I didn't know the history of his life. But he came back. And I was just about grown when he came back. I was around 17, 18 years old.
But tell me, what was it like growing up in Butler County, Alabama?
Well, I'll tell you, it was back in my day, I called it was peace and happiness because I didn't know anything else. And you made your life about what you wanted it to be. It's not too much different than then and now. Because you see some people now, they live well, don't look like nothing ever bothers them. Look like they're not ever in no kind of bad condition or nothing. And I learned the ways and mean on that. It's just the way you manage.
Tell me then about your childhood. What do you remember about your childhood in Butler?
Well, in my childhood day coming up, my dad and mother tried to teach me the difference in right and wrong, which is with me today. And if I did wrong, my mother she'd set them dates down. My father wouldn't. He just like strike a match on a piece of cotton with kerosene in it. He'd get on you right then and there, but my mother would put them up. Sometimes they didn't get up there high as a dozen. She'd catch you in the belt so you couldn't run, you know. Because it's going to be pretty warm standing there, you know. And she'd whoop you for every one of them. She'd talk to you, whoop you for this, and then tell you why. The next one coming up, she'd tell you about that. She whooped for every one of them.
Today, that would be child abuse, huh?
Right. Yeah. That is your child abuse, yes, that's right. And it was good for us. It was good for us. I've never been in jail in my life. And they didn't allow us to fight. Because that was kind of a hard job to keep us down from fighting, because we'd fight, but if they got the news, then you get a brush nobody.
You first came to Birmingham when you were 19. You stayed in Birmingham for a brief period.
I stayed in Birmingham about 3 or 4 years.
And then you went back to Butler. And then at 26, you came back to Birmingham.
Right.
Tell me about that. When you came back when you came to Birmingham the first time, why did you come?
Well, I came because it was a man lived not too far from us.
In Butler?
In Butler, yeah. And his family and my family, brothers and father and all of them, we were very close. they moved to Birmingham and named Savannah Golson. And they moved to Birmingham. He had some young men. They was up with my older brothers. But my older brothers and them were very good friends. So during the homecoming at their church, they came home for the homecoming. And Confidence, he came over, just like he always had been doing, came over to visit with us while he was down. And he asked me that I want to go back home with him. I told him, yeah. And said, but I know my dad won't let me go. He said, well, I'll talk with him and see. My daddy, he asked my daddy, let me go back. He said, you know, we'll take care of him. Dad said, I don't know about that. I have to think about it. But sooner or later, my daddy, along with my help, he agreed to let me go. And I went back up there, and I stayed with them.
So what did you do when you came to? You finished school down there?
No, I hadn't finished school down there. And, you know, we just only had a 3-month school. And I didn't finish school down there, but we had a night school here in Birmingham. And of course, I didn't think too much about it right at the present time because I was coming in contact with things I'd never seen before. And it was between me and the schooling. And
when you first got here, did you work?
Yes, I got a job with company they called Cement and Solvent. They made coke. And they unloaded cars. Be 4 men to each car. And, you know, they dropped the doors down here at the bottom. And then the men would get in there and take them shells and try to break it loose. And when it started to break it loose, they had a way they could break that loose and started to going. That stuff would shoot out there before you know it. Well, I had to learn that. They'd be through with that car, we was on tonnage, and gone to the next car. And I'm over here scuffling, trying to get my side broke loose. So one fella, he was nice enough to show me how to do it. He said, first thing you do is you put your shovel down here, center into the door at the bottom, and just work your shovel like that, you know, and say it'll go on down through that loose coal. And it get on there, say it'll break the bottom loose. When it break the bottom loose, the rest of it's gonna come out. So it wasn't long before I learned it.
Did you stay on that job then?
Well, I didn't stay too long. I didn't stay too long. Had a lot of friends from home in the plant working for U.S. Steel. That's where I wanted to go, with them, where they was. So I didn't stay over there too long.
After you left there, then did you go to the plant?
I went over to the plant to get a job. And it would be all the way from 300 to 400, 500 people standing around out there waiting to get a job. The employment man come out on a high platform, and he'd look over the crowd, you know, and they was hiring men then not less than 180, from that to 200 pounds, because they didn't have the convenience to handle things with machines like they have now. And then they had to have big men, strong men to do that type of work. And he looked over there, and yeah, I'm sitting over there, looked like I just got through eating breakfast or somewhere, just got through playing in the sand or something. And he named me Babyface. Look out through there, and after he spotted me and I found out he knowed me, I'd stand behind somebody else and thought I could get in through lump sum. When he called, maybe I want 150. 200, maybe 300. I'd get a chance to go in with the crowd. But that opportunity never did present itself. And he always eventually came down to me and said, "Babyface, come here." I'd stand back and I wouldn't accept my name he gave me. So different ones would say, "No." Then no. Then somebody pointed me, "Then yeah, him, come here." So I went up there. He said to me, he said, "Now listen," he said, "you just cannot do this work, and I'm not gonna hire you to come out here and get hurt." And he said, "The only way that I have you, your parents will be in a condition so that they'll need your assistance and your help, and they'll come depending on you, and we might give you a little light job like that, but otherwise I ain't gonna hire you." He said, "You just losing time coming up here." I said, "Lord have mercy," I hated that so bad, to hear that. And so, all right, I accepted and went on. But I still go up. I didn't go up every day, but I would go up. So sooner or later, I went up one day. He looked and said, "Hey, Babyface, glad to see you. Got something for you. Come here." Oh, man. You ought to saw the crowd behind me, you know, following me up there. I went on. He said, "Go on in my office and sit down. I'll be in there in a minute." So he said, all right, he come in. I was wondering to myself, what on earth had he found for me? And it was a cooking job. You see, they had what they called strikes, which I didn't know what they was talking about, a strike. Well.
Work stoppage?
Yes, right.
Okay.
Right. And this was out here on a mining camp out there in the place they called Brookside. And had a little, they had a mine out there, and they had a little, what they call a little wildcat strike. And the men was gonna work on. The company didn't pay something like that too much attention then. And the company, what they used back in that day, they used soldiers for their protection. Put them soldiers out through them woods around their plant, and they keep down orders. So I went out there. I didn't know anything about no strike or nothing kind. I went out there, and so they had a place for me to stay. And the employment man wanted to know, could I cook? I said, "Yeah, I can cook." He said, "Babyface, if you can cook, you got a job. They want a cook out here at Brookside." Well, I hung around my mother long enough to learn how to cook a little bit. So I went out there.
You were not aware that there was a strike at the time?
Oh, no, I didn't know anything about no strike. I didn't know about no strike. I went out there and I stayed. I stayed from, I'd say, the latter part of August up until Christmas. And my superintendent was named Henderson. Oh man, Henderson came around and checked up on, had fellas from Edgewater, Bayview, Docena, number 8, number 2, from all the mines to come to head to break this strike. Just reach up here and get so many here and so many there, so many there. Come out there and break this strike. So he said, "Come out there," and he said, "I've been there working." And so I had 2 helpers. All I had to do was season and fix the food. And my 2 helpers, when I put it on, they seed about it. And all I had to do then is just look over it once in a while, and I stretched out. That's all. I had pretty nice, but I was just lonesome.
So how long did you stay? You stayed out there
I
until
stayed
December?
out there from
about 4 months.
Around about 4 months.
Mm-hmm. And then what did you do?
Well, he came out and told me, he said, "Now, Smith," he says, "if everybody goes home to their family," he says, "we're going to shut down the beanery, and you can go home." And I said, "Okay." I just prayed to God. Everybody went, and man, there's about 2 families stayed. They didn't go. Then he came around to me and wanted to know from me, what did I want to cook? I told him, I said, get me a half a barrel, after I found out the family was going to stay, I said, give me a half a barrel of turkeys and a half a barrel of hens, mix them up. So I cooked the turkeys and the hens for those that stayed, fixed dinner for them. Well, only one day for Christmas with the company, you know. And I stayed there and fixed that for him. And he told me, he said, now quick as everybody get back and get everything get normal, I'm going to give you a horse and buggy and let you go to Birmingham and spend the day. So the company didn't have cars and trucks like they have now. They had horse and buggies. So I was looking forward to that. Man, it went on and had his sister was named Ross Black. Mr. Black, a very nice man. He come around one day, about 2 or 3 weeks after Christmas, came around and whispered in my ear, said, listen, he said, don't build your hopes up so high. I know you want to go. And I turned and looked at him with my face full of frowns. I didn't know what he was going to say. But he told me, he said, Mr. Henderson ain't going to let you go, but don't tell him I said so. I said, what? Well, the Southern came through there in the morning about 9 o'clock, coming in from wherever it was coming from. And so I said to one of those boys was named, one of them named Val and the other was named Willie. I said, well, I'm going to put breakfast on y'all. And I said, y'all take care of it. I'm going to Birmingham this morning. He said, well, when you coming back? I said, I'll be back this evening. Okay. So I put done on everything. I went out there and got on the Southern. But when I went through those scope of woods, I had to go through a scope of wood. Those fellas went to Holland, and they called them blacklegs. They went to Holland and said, hey, look out, here we got one. Talking about me. I just kept walking like I didn't know what they was talking about, which I didn't know in a sense. And I went on, so they clustered around me after I got up, before I turned down the hill to go down to the little station. They clustered around me and asked me, said, well, you been over there to the mine? I said, yeah. And the thought came to me right immediately. Said, what you done over there? I said, you know we on a strike? I said, I'm not working over there. I said, I got a cousin live over there. I'm just down here visiting him. I said, I'm from Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They said, oh, well, one said, hey, look at his hands. You can tell where he's working the mine or not. Well, my hand was in the water. You know what they look like. They looked at my hand. Oh, let him go. He's all right. Okay, I went on. I said, I got to come back now because I left my luggage there. Whenever you get ready, I'll tell all of them that let you through to thank you. So I went on through. I came back, and when I got back at supper time. Mr. Henderson said to hear them all hollering, oh, here's the cook, he's back. He came to the door out of his office and looked at me, got my attention. He's back from me. I went on. Where you been? I said, I've been in Birmingham. Who told you to go? I said, you? I said, I didn't say when. I said, I see you wasn't going to say when. I said when. I made the date myself.
So then did you stay out there after you got back? How long did you stay?
Oh, well, after I got back, he told me, he said, you stay here until in the morning. Don't let the Southern leave you in the morning. You ain't got no more job here.
Ah, so he fired you.
Yeah, fired me. All right. I said, okay, thank you. I didn't care because I had one of these money bills. I didn't have nothing out there to spend my money for. And they was paying me $7 and some an hour.
$7 and something an hour?
An hour. That's what they paid me.
Is that right?
And I had a money belt on, brother, and it was fitting me pretty tight. You hear what I said? And I didn't make me no difference, because I could go on to Birmingham, from Birmingham on home if I wanted, because I was looking at my daddy's smokehouse, and it was looking like Army's packing house. Mm-hmm. And I said, looking at the crib, there was corn in there, go to the mill and get some meal. There was a lot full of cows out there, milk. And I said, what have I got to worry about? I said, I don't know how much I got around here. I'll go home.
So you went back to Butler,
I went back to Birmingham.
back to Birmingham.
When I went back to Birmingham, got back up there, they had a little light blow over up there. Work had slowed down. Didn't mount a whole lot. It wasn't cutting off nobody, but they wasn't hiring nobody. But I could afford to walk around a while without hurting. So I went on back, and so the lady I was staying with was named Miss Willie Golson. Miss Willie, she always called me, boy, come on in here, boy. Says, my same ruling is good, stand good. Well, she didn't allow, it was about 4 of us stayed there. And she didn't allow us out after 9 o'clock. If you out at 9 o'clock, you didn't get in. Unless you come by her. So that made us had to be pretty well on the ledge, getting in and out, So that was her rule, and she made us abide by it.
So how long did you stay in Birmingham?
Well, when I came back I came back in
But you eventually
we had a place down there on 17th Street they called Riverside Cafe. You go down that Riverside and you get a cup of coffee for a nickel, and you could get a breakfast 15 cents, more than you could eat. Well, that is just 20 cents. So I was on my way down about 9 o'clock the next couple of days down to Riverside to eat. Somebody's coming up Avenue F from towards Pet City. They saw me crossing Avenue F on 17th Street, and they hollered, "Hey, Cook! Hey, Cook!" I stopped, wait till he got up there. "Strike's over. Go on out, if you want to work in the mine, go on out to Dose City, wherever you want to go. They're transferring us all back to the mine we want to go to." They just had to open up Hampton Slope. So I didn't go to breakfast. I just went right on down the Avenue F, went on out to Hampton Slope. Got that man walked in. "Well, where you want to work?" He didn't ask me where I'd been working. He just asked me where I want to work, and then what was the name. And I told him, old man Henderson didn't get a chance to put a red X on my card. So it was in the box that like it hired me, and he looked there and found my card. I told him, "Hampton Slope." He said, "Well, you can come out this evening if you want, 3 to 11. I said, "How about day?" He said, "Well, you can have day if you want." I said, "Well, I'll be out in the morning." So I went on, lived there, and went on by the doctor.
So you actually worked in the mine?
Huh?
You worked in the mine?
In the mine, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I worked in the mine. Worked in the mine a while. And old man Will Schaefer was my mine foreman.
So how long were you in the mine?
Well, I was in the mine around about 2 years.
And then after the mine, then what?
After the mines, I'll tell you what happened. Probably, I liked the mine so well until, man, I just loved it. I just thought once that was an awful thing to be in the mine, all that, everything on top of you. You down there in that hole. But after I got out there and learned everything all about it, I loved to be in there. And I stayed down there around about 2 years, and I didn't say, "This is it. I'm gonna make it here." But on the 10th right in the mine, it was a new mine. They're turning off rooms, 10th right.
This is the 10th right turn?
That's a 10th. That's a room. Okay. You turn off 10th right.
Okay.
That's a room going up in. After they got up in there a piece, they run into a vault. A vault now means here's the coal. This is the coal. The facing of the coal is like this. And this sheet right here is a rock. It goes right straight down and divide this coal from here on the other side. Now on the other side, I don't know how thick this will be. This can be 15, 20 feet thick.
You don't know how thick it is until you get in there and
Right,
start.
right. And what to do to come there, they had people that could, take those scopes and things and tell you just exactly what to do. Well, what they had to do, they had to go shoot this rock, and it was about 15 to 20 feet through. It's that thick. And they shoot it through, and that coal come up on the other side of this rock on the same level it was over here. And they shoot this rock out the way and get it out the way and run right back into the same coal on the other side. So when Schaefer give me the job of furnishing them people a car to load that rock in, which they wouldn't load a car a day. And I had a mule, kept mules in the mine. And I had a mule. I'd go about a lot every morning, get my mule and go up there. And I just lay out there on the pile of clay they had there to make dummies out of. And stay there from the time I'd get there in the morning till quitting time. Take the mule and go, and wouldn't ever hitch him up to a car.
Were you a member of the UMW?
Oh, no, they didn't have that then.
UMW was not in the mines.
No, they didn't have those union and things. That wasn't in existence then. So had an old foreman over, had about 15 or 20 men. Had an old foreman there. His name was Larry. Lived out there in a place called Hardspat. And old man Larry, he one of them roars and chews, He'd come by there and see me laying out there. You get up off that pile of clay and come on out here and get a shovel and get in the gang and go to work. I looked at him and laughed at him. I said, if you hold your breath until I shovel some rock out there, I said, I don't know what'll happen to you. And stretch back out, it didn't make him so angry, he didn't know what to do. So when Schaefer told me, that was my boss. He said, now, I'm your boss. You do what I tell you to do. You go by the lot and get your mule, and you're responsible for that mule until you put him back in that lot. And said, now, you take care of that mule out there, and all you got to do is take care of that mule, and when they load that car, pull that car, and give them an empty back. You ain't got nothing else to do. If you got anything else to do, I'll tell you. Well, now, what more did I want to hear? All right. So he just kept picking at me. There was one white fella in the gang. He just kept picking. Let Mr. So-and-so drive that mule. I look up at him and laugh, and lay on back down myself. So he got this white fella come up there one day, had a sprag. A sprag is a piece of wood about that long. You stick in a wheel to lock it. If it's running too fast, the car was rolling too fast. All right. And he had a sprag, and he juked. Mule was named Old Dick. And he juked the mule. Well, the mule didn't take no punching. You mess around with him, you run out of there and hit that main slope, and the motors on that main slope out there just like that, hauling the coal from the different room, what you call gathering coal. And they gathering that coal, and them motors out there running just like that, because they ain't expecting nothing like that, no mule. Because we had a certain hour to carry the mule to the lot. The motors done quit running. And I said, that mule gonna run out of here, go out there and get killed, and I said, it's gonna be up to you, not me. So he went back and told old man Larry came up there and jumped on me, and so I said, man, you don't know what you talking about. You don't know who you talking to. And I says, you're losing time. And I said, if you want to talk to anybody, you talk to Mr. Schaefer and leave me alone. He just kept a mouth, and I just got up and took one of them spracks and gave it to him inside his head.
Was this a black man or a white man?
White man. And I knocked him out, And so when I did, I blowed my lamp out, laid back down on the pile of clay. Directly, Mr. Schaefer came through. Old man Larry was crawling around in the dark trying to find his light. His face was bloody, and so man Larry Schaefer said, Lord, I said, what's the matter with you, Larry? Smith hit me. Smith hit you? What he done hitting you? About that time, I knocked my light on and come out. Walked up there where he was. Smith, what happened here? I told him. He said, Larry, what you done interfering with him? Is you his boss? He said, well, I'm going to have to send y'all both to Pratt City to see Mr. McCrory. That was the general older mine, general foreman older mine. So, old man Larry wanted him to squash it. He said, I'm willing to squash it if you will. He said, no, I can't do that. Taking too much on my job. Something happened to you. So you got to go to the doctor. Something happened to you. He said, that'd be my job. I can't do that, Larry. Went on, and Mr. Black, we went over there and give us both 15 days apiece. Because against the law.
15 days off.
Oh, yeah. And that was against the law of fighting the mine, he told us. And said, I ought to send both of you to jail. Well, I ought to send you. But he didn't. But anyhow.
Well, black men were fired for much, much less than that, than fighting a white man. And you hit a white man and knocked him out, and you were not fired?
Sure.
And there were never any repercussions from that?
No. Mr. Black came to me. He was Mr. Henderson's assistant. And he came on up, and he came from Brookside, and they made him assistant to old man Schaefer. And old man Schaefer, old man Black, he still knowed me from down in Brookside. He came to me and told me, he said, Smith, he said, you know what? I said, no. He said, you got 15 days, and I don't want you to come back in the mine. He said, not in this mine, no, huh? He said, because they gonna still some of them may picket you. And he said, if they picket you, then you gonna do the same thing again. I said, well, I don't know nothing else to do. I said, what are you bothering me for? He said, well, that's what I know, and that's what you don't understand, how to push it off if you can, but you gonna go for it. And he said, I just don't want you to come back here, because they'll picket you and you get blackballed for good. He said, I'll tell you what I'll do. He said, I'm gonna get you a job at the company.
This is in the mill?
Yeah.
So that's when you left the mine and went to the mill?
Went on to the mill.
Okay. Tell me then, where were you living at the time?
At that time?
Yes, sir. When you went to the mill, what community were you living?
Well, when I went to the there, I was living on Avenue K and 20th Street in Inslee.
In Inslee. Okay. Were you married at the time?
Yeah, I was married then.
This is probably what, in the 30s and 40s?
Well, this was up at around in the 40s. Yeah.
Were you involved in any community organizations at the time?
Well, not at that time. That particular time I wasn't. And when I got involved in that is when this Spotify union commenced, holding meetings and giving the opportunities and showing how the company had been robbing laborers and what the labor didn't have no opportunities and no privilege and these little things. Most of your foreman could get you fired.
This was the United Steelworkers of America.
Right. And said your foremen could get you fired and could get you fired. And so you just don't have nothing to stand on, but said if you join this body fight organization, which you call the CIO, said we put up a fight, we see how come they fine you and what they fine you about, and they're going to have to start paying y'all. They ain't paying you right.
Did you ever join that organization?
No, I never did join. I never did join the CIO.
Were you a member of a union?
I was a member of the company union.
Okay.
I never did join the CIO.
Okay.
But I attempt to, because Howard Strebe was the
district,
what you call it?
The district rep.
District man, yeah, representative. And him and I got pretty close together, and so I wanted to know all I could about it. And he gave me the address of the top man. It was kind of backed up by the federal government. And he gave me the top man's.
But did you know Asbury Howard?
Who?
Asbury Howard.
Yeah, I heard her talk with him very much. Yeah.
He was probably the top black. He became vice president of the Steelwork Organization. So when then did you get involved in the movement?
In this Christian movement?
Yes, sir.
Well, I got involved in it when Sherwick, he organized that. And Fred Sherwick. And they had one meeting. They met every Monday night. And Edward Gardner I lived on the south side where I'm living now. And he lived on the north side on the same street, Edward Gardner. Edward Gardner was a minister.
Right.
They had met. So he came over, they had one meeting, and that Monday, the Tuesday following that Monday night meeting, he came over to my house and talked with me and told me, says, I want you to go with me next Monday night. I said, where you going? He said, well, man, we got something good going. So I went with him down to New Hope. Herman Stone was the pastor of New Hope Baptist Church, right there across from Slaughter's blast furnaces. New Hope Baptist Church used to sit there.
That's where the meeting was held.
That's where the
first
meeting was held that night. That next Monday night.
Right.
Right there, just below the Birmingham Waterworks.
Oh yeah.
That's where the church was sitting.
Well, how did that meeting impress you? Were you impressed?
Well, I went over with him, and there's just so many people, about 2 churches in one. And after the service and everything, he called Fred, told Fred that he had a man here that he wanted to introduce to him that would make us, Gardner was the vice president, and Fred Chetterwick was the president. He said, this will make us a good man, somebody you can depend on. And he said, I want to make you acquainted with him. And said, but he don't say, you got to go straight file along with him because say he don't like no liars and this, that, and the other. Just tell him the truth, whatever the nature of the case may be. So that's just the kind of fella he is, and said if you be truthful to him, say he'll work with you. Okay. Well, looked like about 15, 20 preachers, they all gathered around me and was talking to the man. This is the man. This is the man. We want him. And they put me to work, and give me,
What did they have you doing?
Well, advertising. Advertising what they were doing. Such as, I worked out at the plant. All right. I could tell the fellas in the bathhouse what is going on. See, I'd tell them, I said, I think that this is something that closer than I've ever seen for the black race to come together. And I said, I think it'd be nice for every black race it is, every black face it is, to come join this and put ourselves together. And I said, I believe we can make something out of it and have more strength. And so I went from there, and so I was in most everything they had, the executive boards and the different meetings. I was one of the finance committees, and I was in all of it. And there wasn't no end to the money. I don't know what them folk done with all that money.
There was plenty of money.
They got some of that money all being circulated somewhere now. They take up $4,000 and $5,000 every Monday night. I'm telling you too. Because I was one of the finance committees. I hope count the money. I know it was there. Yeah. So we went on and on and on and on, and
Did you recruit people to come in and get involved?
Well, I tell them, and a lot of people that knowed me would come in just because I was in it. See, because a lot, how we was we as a race of people, and I still think we have a little part of that now. We kind of go a piece with you, and then we start and want to hesitate and wonder if we're right or wrong.
Yeah.
And if we're wrong, we're going to start something. If we're right, we're going to start something. See, I think we still have that habit.
Right.
Yeah.
Were you involved when Bethel was bombed, Shuttlesworth home was bombed?
Yeah, I sure was. Yeah, I was involved in it because I was there, and they had, I know this fella, lawyer Billington.
Billingsley.
Billington.
Yeah, Ozell Billingsley.
Yeah, Ozell Billington, yeah, that's right. He was the lawyer, one of the lawyers. So the law was standing out there, and Ozell walked up. And so after...
This is at the church after the bombing?
After bombing, yeah. This was his house now.
Okay.
And the laws told him, you can't go in there. Ozell looked around and said, who can't? He kept walking. They looked at one another and said, who is he? You know, with him doing what he did, you know, this kid looked back at him and kept walking. So they know there's something a little bit behind him, you know, as authority. See what I mean? And so went on from that, you know, and then I was well on my way when later on when they bombed the church that he's pastored. This old white fella, he had a lot of dynamite at his house, and well, he had his daughter said that he had a room full.
And how did you know about that?
Well, it was told because they had men around the clock at the church watching it.
Did you ever participate in that? Did you ever?
No. I never
guards?
did go into that part. I never did. I always had something that looked like just a little bull there, in the way of giving advice, things like that.
Did you participate in demonstrations?
Oh yeah.
Did you march? Were you ever arrested?
No, I never was arrested. Me and Edward Gardner was the vice president. Either one of us wouldn't know much. And a lot of the arresting was made. At least my advice was to share work. I was in the executive board meeting, and there we'd set up plans for things like that to happen. And I said to share work, I said, now you quit running ahead of your committee. You work with your committee. You don't run ahead and take things in charge. Y'all make your plans here. Then you leave here, go on out there, and you take it in your own hand and do what you want to do just because you're the president. I said, no. Well, went out there to the high school there in Woodlawn. They planning, at that time, see, the white folks had everything against us was in violation when it come down to right. You had to sit on the streetcar, board sitting up there behind you. You couldn't sit behind the board. Well, now all you had to do was just let one go in that streetcar and sit behind the board, just one. He done violated, that's okay.
Blacks couldn't sit in front of the board, right?
Well, black had to sit in front, whites behind it.
No, it's just the opposite, right?
Yeah. See, all right.
Whites sitting in front of the bus.
The
blacks
white,
sitting in the back.
no, the white behind the board, the blacks up in the front. All right, they did it that way, I guess. Well, either way it could work. But anyhow, them conductors would move that board. They make you get up, ask you to get up and give your seat, and they'd move the board above you. And that'd automatically make you have to move because you're in violation if you sit there aboard his boat. And they had a way, if they didn't do them, but stop this streetcar and go to the telephone, call the law, and had a law to meet.
Did you ever participate in those? You ride the bus in front of the board?
No, I know was in that condition. I know did. No, did. But my advice was on that was just one. All you want, one will make a case. See, one sit down, he gonna arrest him. Well, all you want to catch the coat. When he catch the coat, then the court would hand down the decision. Who's right and who's wrong. See, that's the decision that we had to make on those cases.
Did other members of your family participate?
Well, my family?
Yes.
No, I didn't have anyone. No, I didn't have any personal one, no.
Right.
I had a brother. He lived 1302 Avenue L in Henley, but he didn't interfere with it at all.
What church were you a member of?
I was a member of Millimore Moore Presbyterian.
Was your church and your pastor involved in the movement?
No, at that time he wasn't. Because when his house and church and everything got bombed, the church didn't get bombed. This white fella was gonna bomb the church. He's gonna bomb it at the changing of each shift. This man was coming on and letting the fella off that worked from 3 to 11. And he's coming on from 11 to 7. And this man is gonna bomb it between the change. And he came up the road with his dynamite and he just lit. The fuses were lit off. And it was pushing him so close, he had to throw it down. And when he threw it down in the street and he run. And then when he ran, it knocked a hole in the street, you set half the church in. You're going to carry it away from there if he had got to the church with it. Yeah, sure was.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you then served basically as an advisor for the movement. You served as an advisor to
Oh,
Shuttlesworth.
yeah. Right.
And did he normally take your advice?
Oh, yeah. Well, our president was kind of on the hard-head side. And the result that he felt from it when he went down to a high school in Woodlawn, they was going down. The committee was going. There was about 5 or 6 of them was going down there.
This is Shuttlesworth that's going to the high school.
Down to the high school in Woodlawn. Well, places, they had a certain time they was going to meet there. And places, they had Shuttlesworth waiting. He just went ahead on about an hour ahead of time. And when the crowd got there, they done had whooped Shuttlesworth with a bicycle chain and sent him to the hospital, and he's gone to the hospital when the rest of them met.
Was this when he was attempting to get his children into?
Well, no, that was to break down the segregation in the school.
Right.
All of that was the and so in that, that was some of the proof that I had with what I was trying to tell him about not abiding by what had been said in the executive board.
Some of the other events that took place, there were the sit-ins, the Freedom Riders who came into Birmingham. There was a selective buying campaign, a boycott of the stores downtown.
Well, you take the voice we had was, we all called him Bull, but his name was Eugene Connor. He was the mayor down there. And city went broke because he ordered so many pistols, and every white face he could find to wear one of them guns, he give him a gun.
Whether they were police or not, huh?
Yeah, he's about trying to break this
The movement.
movement up. So we was had a nice men's Bible class at our church, and Professor Macker, Dr. Arthur C. Macker's brother, he was a teacher. He was our men's Bible class teacher. And he said I thought that we could be a great help to this program that's being had. And we sat there and listened to what he said. Said, let's go down and talk with Eugene Connor and see just what, will he kind of listen at what thus said the Lord. And so we did. With about 5 or 6 of us went down with him.
And met with Bull Connor?
Yeah. And we went down there, and we didn't get to talk. He told us that he did all the talk. Bull told us he knowed what we was down there for, but he had all the preachers under control himself. Around in his office, that high on the wall was stacks of whiskey. All kinds and all sizes. And he said to us, he said, see all that crates down there? He said, that's whiskey. He said, all your preachers, he said, I got them under control. So they do what I tell them to do. And he said, when he come in here and make a good report, I give him a fifth. And when he just says something, I give him a half pint.
So that's the way he was saying that he controlled the preachers.
That's what he's carrying on against the movement. All right, we sat there and we couldn't get a word in edgeways. He told us we losing time to come there to try to hinder him and what he's going to do. Or he had the preachers himself. He may preach you all 11 o'clock, but he said in the morning, Monday morning, he'll be here. He going to report to you.
Did you believe that?
Well, some of them did. And all of them didn't do it. Some of them did. Yes, some of them did. But anyway, eventually, as time grew, passed on, you know, it showed where he stood and what he stood for. And he eventually didn't get elected back as commissioner here in Birmingham.
Yeah, they changed the...
Then this man down here, who was it that got elected in...
Boutwell.
In Montgomery. All right. He gave him a job over the utility bill, or the utility program that's in Montgomery right now. And he gave him a job down there. This man did. All right. I had united with a fellow that called Zacharetta. He was a Dago. But Zacharetta was a rich man. He had plenty of money. And he set up a program for the senior citizens. And in that program, it called for us going to Montgomery and places like that to see about what we could do for the senior citizen, because the senior citizen had their problems such as the sickness, the husband, something like that, go to the hospital. That was a big bill. Well, we would take that bill up and go to the hospital sit down and talk with the doctors and the head there and show them these here are senior citizens. And whatever you have it today, they're the cause of it. Whether it's good or bad. And if it hadn't been for them, it wouldn't have been this and wouldn't have been that. And they done got old now. What you gonna still look for them to come up to date on paying this as much as you and I?
Yeah. Let me ask you though, let me take you back just a bit. What do you remember about the demonstrations in '63 when Dr. King came into Birmingham?
Well, Dr. King came here. Dr. King came here. When he came here, once he came in, and they was intending to kill him here. And N.H. Smith, who pastor Mount New Pilgrim, him and Herman Stone, I know them two, but there's about 4 of them, got an army car. It's the honest way they got King out of here without getting hurt. They had the trap set up for him, and they got an army car and got him with me, and they rode with him until they got him to safety.
Were you part of the advisory board, the executive committee during the '63 demonstrations when all of the children were arrested out at Kelly Ingram Park and 16th Street Baptist Church?
Yeah.
What were the highlights of that?
Well, highlights on that program, as I just said a while ago, all we needed was just one to go in there, and it wasn't a law. It was not a law. It was what these folks wanted for themselves. The white folk wanted for themselves. When they said to you and I, it was a law. It's against the law. That's what they used on us. All right. Now, when that's their law, just like married, they said against the law to marry a white woman. All right. So when King got into it, got himself into it, and found out all of the ways and means that they had set up for and against the black race, then he said the best thing he can do is go to Washington, D.C. and find out what's on the book up there. Then Johnson was the president of the United States in Washington. He goes up there and didn't call Johnson up for appointment. George Wallace in Montgomery, he had been calling Johnson, trying to get appointment to get to Washington, because he wanted to put what he was putting down in Montgomery, he wanted to get it to Washington, D.C. and get it going. Johnson wouldn't look back at him, wouldn't even talk with him. Martin Luther King went up there and he didn't even ask to have an appointment. He went up there and all he done is got in the right place and asked and told him who he was, and he wanted to see the president. They got the president word, the president said bring him on in. That news flashed right back to Alabama and Montgomery in seconds. George Wallace blowed his top, said the idea Johnson recognizing the Negro before he would him. Johnson come right back on him and told him, he said, if you'd had something to offer like this black man had, said, well, I'd have recognized you.
What do you think was the contribution of Birmingham to the movement, overall civil rights movement?
Well, I think it was a great asset to us here, because it was, at that time that I was coming along up here, these old police, had these old big clubs and on the hip and thing. They didn't mind. Before they'd say good morning to you, they'd hit you. Well, when they hit you, you didn't have sense enough to say nothing then. But so in that, it took all that power away from them. They was violating the law. And coming back to this point, I didn't quite get through with King, when Johnson got to Johnson, he told Johnson what he's there for. He said, I want to see the book, see what you got on here for us and against us. So he told his secretary, Johnson did, take him around, let him see what he wants. And he didn't wait till he got through the scene all of it. He flashed it over there. King did. Flashed it over there. Said, marry who you want to marry. There's an agreement between you two. Yeah.
Well, these obviously were some very turbulent times. And we've covered a lot today. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we've not dealt with that stand out in your mind as related to the civil rights movement?
Well, I would love to see, for my opinion, and I put some emphasis on that now in the different churches. I'd love to see the churches, I'd love to see these preachers getting in the harness on what thus says the Lord. Be honest. Quit trying to run it his way. Quit trying to carry it in a way that he will benefit from it. Not the people and not the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ would be pleased. I'll talk about that right now in these. Whenever I get an opportunity to, I'll talk about that now. I said, if this charity begins at home and will spread abroad, and I said, you started here, you started ain't long before it done took a hold.
That's right. Well, I certainly appreciate your taking your time out today to come and sit and talk with us. You've been quite a help to us. Let me just ask you one other question. Do you have any items that's related to the movement or to the development of Birmingham that you would like to donate to the Institute? If you do have, we'll be more than glad to talk with you about them.
Well, now, I don't call myself a wealthy man, but what I do name myself, I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And all of my blessings that he has given to me, I have a very nice wife. She's very nice to me.
She's taking good care of you.
And everything that I possess to have, I give it to her. Everything. And I want her to enjoy life. And she knows the difference in right and wrong, and she knows the wrong side, and she knows the right side. And so that's my setup. Now, if I didn't have somebody like her, then that's a good thought. Good thought. I would be happy to sit down and communicate with somebody like you and you and you and see just what it could I be, how much help could I be along that line.
We certainly do appreciate it. As I said, you've been quite a help to us, and what we're attempting to do is to get the real story of Birmingham. The only way we do that is from people like yourself. Thank you, Mrs. Smith, for coming out.
Appreciate it.
Sweet in the morning, oh Lord.